it's a
They
full-time
care
job.
not one bit about a gun law. If you say we can only have 10-round magazines, they're going to find a 15-round magazine. It makes them no difference.
That being
Right,
said, the
right.
ATF they came swinging. What was your
I,
response to that?
I wasn't happy with that, just because, again, I don't think there should be a ban on any weapons. That's just my take on it.
Sure.
My idea is that the more that they try to ban or the more they try to regulate, it means nothing to a criminal.
Fully automatic for civilians.
Even fully automatic.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because even in the military, they rarely use fully automatic, and a lot of people don't realize that. But the more that you regulate for a civilian, what a civilian can carry, especially if they're doing it legally, a criminal has no cares in the world about what you're regulating.
Yeah.
Because a criminal's job is to be a criminal. They do what they do. You tell us that we can't have certain lengths of weapons, they'll still cut off a shotgun and make it a sawed-off barrel shotgun. There's just things that a criminal is going to do regardless, and we're kind of put in a position where we can't defend ourselves with the same types of weapons that a criminal can possess.
Yeah.
They can risk going to prison, and they don't care about that. Whereas we're trying to do it legally, and it still becomes an issue.
Yeah, it did seem, just with the language in their documents that they sent out, that wasn't official, and when they rescinded it, they were like, "Hey, this was we were just mentioning
a test run." It was a test run. They were trying to test the water. Yeah.
Hey, listen, quit testing me. Don't test me. Try Jesus, not me.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm shooting at anyone who's not an actual threat, but honestly. It's a very strange and peculiar situation that a government, an arm of the government, would effectively make thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans felons overnight.
That's no good. Yeah.
I mean, talk about the 13th Amendment and the overcriminalization of people, period. And not to mention, when I go to the range with y'all, I see a whole lot of black folks with AR pistols.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the crazy thing is, if certain political members claim to support support the Second Amendment, and then others who maybe would like to regulate the Second Amendment a little bit more strongly to avoid terrible, awful incidences, and just taking a moment to say, I would say it's safe to say you and I both abhor all these completely crazy things that happen with school shootings and a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like if it's up to me, I would put my body in between any member of a school and a school shooter, mainly because I trust myself to get the job done.
Right.
But even if I'll go down to save somebody, that's just my makeup, and I'm sure you would do something similar.
Yeah, definitely. So with those are very unfortunate situations, and I hope that it doesn't happen. But the truth of the matter is that there are evil people in the world.
Yes, sir.
And if they want to go do those types of things, they will. If you continue to impose more regulations and things that we can't use and things that we can't use to defend ourselves or the public, then that it's going to continue to happen regardless, and it may be worse because there's no one to defend what's going on.
That's right. Yeah, somebody who I was talking to the other day just about how kind of backwards a lot of the ideologies and the thinking behind gun control mentioned that, and I know this may trigger some folks, but the Boston Marathon bombers, they didn't use guns. They used pressure cookers. Pressure cookers. They didn't even have to build a pipe bomb. They built a pressure cooker, and they hurt a lot of decent people.
Absolutely. So it's not just the gun. They use the gun as the main tool to scare people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are not aware of how guns can work and the proper usage of them. And it's just the easiest scapegoat. Yeah. But people get killed by knives every day. and you don't see a steak knife banned anywhere.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, Texas did have some laws and some regulations not that long ago that regulated certain types of knives, but the list wasn't that long, and I believe they've rescinded many of those restrictions because they realized, like, hey, we're really just doing this to pad the count on those biker gangs that like to carry these things, and really it's weaponizing the law against the people. And that, to me, that's just ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, for both political parties, they have their own agendas.
Absolutely.
And how does
Absolutely.
one not just stand up and say, like, hey, you are weaponizing the law against the people? How dare you?
Because that's too much like right.
Right.
They're not going to do that. They're busy trying to get their votes, and that's a political game that they play.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're going to end up hurting your people as far as the citizens.
Yeah. I know we've gotten a little political with it. Let's bring it back to us and our people and just the situation at hand. So Texas, I have not seen the numbers and compared them and contrasted them, but it's widely known that places like Chicago, big cities with a lot of minority folks in them and a lot of poverty. And I think poverty is the determining factor, not necessarily skin color. Really, skin has nothing to do with it. Have an issue with guns, gun violence, senseless murder, senseless crime. Even if you remove the gun, we're talking about senseless murder and crime with everything else. How do you feel about those places, and what do you think if you could just come up with some answers to try to help that situation in the planning of just fixing that mess?
So when it comes to the big cities, if I'm not mistaken, New York, LA, and Chicago are the three largest cities in the country. They also have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. Again, with the fact that a normal citizen can't readily arm themselves legally, it gives criminals a playground to cause terror. And it happens in all three of those places. The police can't control it. They've tried to pinpoint certain areas where there's a high crime rate, but even still, there's no citizen that can legally protect themselves without jumping through 1,000,001 hoops.
Right.
So if you allow them to protect themselves, it may make a criminal think twice about who they want to harm or who they want to attack when it comes to trying to do what they do. When you look at Texas, I mean, in any big city that you look at, there's going to be crime. There's going to be a lot of things of that nature, but you at least have a chance to defend yourself when it comes to living in Texas. This is why, again, I tell people all the time, I grew up in New York City. I love where I grew up. That's my home. I will represent it all day, every day, but I will not live there again because of their gun laws.
Yeah.
That's one place I cannot go.
I mean, just a visit is one thing, but to live there day in and day out and kind of just increase the risk that something bad could happen to you and you can't do a thing about it.
Nothing about it.
You could barely use your 2 hands and 2 feet to defend yourself.
Right.
Much less one of these, right?
Right. Oh yeah. It's so much going on up there, and people are afraid to defend themselves. So now they become victims. I'm not going to be a victim.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate that we have folks who would allow themselves to get into that victim mentality, especially our people who, some would say for 400 years, we were victims of circumstances. And now that we actually have a chance to not be bullies and walk around with guns on our hips and say,
yeah, definitely not. And see, me, I don't carry a gun and I actually just posted that a few days ago. I'm not a bully. I'm not a tough guy or anything like that, but I do carry a weapon so that if it comes to that and I have to defend myself, I am going to give myself the best chance to make it home. I don't look for trouble. I don't start trouble. I don't go up to anybody and push buttons or anything like that. No, I try to avoid all those situations on a daily basis. Yeah. But again, if it comes to a point where I have to absolutely defend myself, I have that means.